Glomeromycota are a phylum of fungi characterized by aseptate hyphae and multinucleated spores, and this is really weird. Let's unpack that. We're talking about a multicellular creature with no divisions, no septa between its cells. And likewise, Glomeromycotan spores are often called gigaspores because they're so big and they have so many nuclei packed into a single spore cell. All these features mean that, unlike every single eukaryotic organism on the planet, Glomeromycota do not have a single cell bottleneck in their life cycle. There's no point in their life history where their genetic identity is restricted down to a single nucleus. And this is a really big deal. There's this long-held biological dogma which says that in order for high levels of cooperation to evolve, levels high enough to produce complex multicellular bodies, you need to have genetic homogeneity. All of the genes in all of the cells need to be identical in order to make sure that their reproductive interests remain aligned. If the genes in my sperm, for example, grow sufficiently different from the genes in my eyes, then my eyes might stop cooperating with my sperm to get their selfish sperm genes out of my body and into the body of my child. So in order for multicellular cooperation to evolve, the theory says, all of the genes need to have an equal chance of making it into the next generation. But in Glomeromycota, this is simply not the case. There's a huge amount of genetic diversity among the nuclei of the hyphal network, and in fact, some networks are so promiscuous here being a technical, biological term. Some networks are so promiscuous that they will fuse with other hyphal networks of different species. And there's no separation between the cells in these networks, right? So nuclei will just get shuffled around and globbed together into these gigaspores, even though they are very different from one another genetically. Because of this, it might be better to think of Glomeromycota not as single fungal organisms, but rather as a community of organisms living all together inside the same branching body. Because of the way that they grow, fusing with plant cells, budding off gigaspores at any point in the network, Glomeromycota do not need homogeneity in order to cooperate complexly. For these creatures, the boundary between self and other will always be a blurry one, and I find that strangely comforting. Who wants to be the same self all the time, you know? I find Glomeromycota just kind of overwhelmingly fascinating, so fascinating that I named our little community Discord server about it. So if you want to join that server and hang out with some other mycologically minded folks, there's a link below that you can follow to get there. Okay, thanks, bye.